Take a wild guess on who's ducking the smoke with Nikola Jokic once again. This is your Denver Sports Daily for January 21st.
The biggest stories, the latest news. It's Denver Sports Daily.
Tonight, the Nuggets are taking on the Philadelphia 76ers, and our old friend Joel Embiid is going to be sitting out once again. Embiid hasn't played in Denver since November 8th, 2019, before COVID. COVID wasn't a thing last time Joel Embiid played in Denver. 1,897 days. That's incredible. I can't believe that. 1,897 days. The Sixers play in Denver once a year. Once a year. That's 5 years in a row now that he has not played in Denver. In that game that he last played, Nikola Jokic led the Nuggets to a 21-point fourth quarter comeback after Embiid fouled out. So clearly he still has some nightmares about that game, and clearly he doesn't want to relive them by coming back to the Mile High City. Embiid was officially ruled out last week with a left knee injury. Now, while Embiid's season hasn't been great, Nikola Jokic is having another MVP season. He's averaging 30 points per game, 13.2 rebounds per game, and 9.9 assists per game. Just when I think he can't get better in every stat, he does so. This is every season now. He's increasing one of his stats by something. He hasn't averaged over 30 in a season, and now he's doing it. He's averaging 30 points, 13 rebounds, and basically 10 assists, 0.1 assist away from 10 assists per game. 9.9 assists per game, 13.2 rebounds per game, and 30 points per game. Just incredible numbers from the MVP and champion, Nikola Jokic. Now, the Nuggets are headed into this game as 14-point favorites, as the Sixers are on a 6-game losing streak. They're not looking good. They're not the team that everybody expects them to be. And this happens with the Sixers a lot. It really does. In the past, before the season, the Sixers are rated really high in those preseason rankings. And then in the season, they just fall apart. They don't really do what they were supposed to do. Embiid gets hurt. He misses a lot of time with injuries. And obviously, that's nothing that you want to see. And if this is something severe, then obviously everybody here is wishing him a speedy recovery and a healthy recovery. But still, you get injured this many times throughout a season, there's going to be talk. There's going to be talk about, is this team actually going to be good? And the Sixers really don't have anything to prove that they are a contending team. They've gone on a few deep playoff runs, but they don't ever succeed. They really don't. Joel Embiid has not won a conference finals game. He hasn't. So it's really just not looking like the Sixers are a great team overall. And with that, they might make some big moves this offseason. Now, their matchup tonight, the Nuggets and Sixers, they will tip off at 8 p.m. and will be nationally broadcast on TNT because it is NBA Rivals Week. So there's going to be this game. And then later in the week, the Nuggets are taking on the Timberwolves, which is going to be a great game as well, because that's obviously a big rivalry really growing. And being born and raised in Minnesota, that's obviously fun to see that my team, my Nuggets, are facing off in big rivals with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, more on rivals in Minnesota. The Avalanche lost to the Minnesota Wild yesterday. It didn't look good. The Avs looked really tired in their loss last night. They only had 4 shots on goal in the first period, and they seemed to be rushing shots to make up for the score later in the game. It just didn't play well for them. It really didn't. Now, the Wild went up 1-0 early, and the Avs tied it up late in the second period. After that, the Wild just scored 2 more, and the Avs could not get it back on track. Now, not the best game for Mackenzie Blackwood, but despite what the stats say, it wasn't the worst game for him. He did look very good for the first 2 periods, the first 40 minutes of this game. He let up 3 goals and saved 23, recording a .885 save percentage. He still has been incredible. There was one save he had that was just incredible. It was nuts. I went to the game yesterday watching one of the saves he had. A few of them, he just reaches his glove out there and catches it right when the puck is right in front of his face. He's been great. He really has. So I'm not going to blame him on a bad game, really, because it wasn't a bad game until the final period. It really wasn't. Now, giving up a game like this to a shorthanded division rival, missing their star in Kirill Kaprizov, could be an issue for the Avs later in the season. It really could. Now, the Avalanche are 28-19-1 and 4th in the Central Division. So hopefully they can get it back on track. Need to start winning more of these games. January hasn't been the kindest to them. They were really hot in December. They just need to get it back on track and rolling, and they will make a deep run. I promise you that. Now, last night, the 2024-25 college football season came to an end. The College Football National Championship was last night. Despite being underdogs for a good portion of the season, the Ohio State Buckeyes won. The Buckeyes beat Notre Dame 34-23 in a game that came down to the wire. It doesn't really seem like it came down to the wire, but it did. Ohio State was up by 16 late in the third quarter, but the Fighting Irish scored in the fourth and added a 2-point conversion. And it really came down to Ohio State on their last drive, nailing a field goal to officially put the game out of reach. And it wasn't in field goal range. They were at 3rd and 11, and a beautiful 54-yard pass put them in field goal range. It was nuts. It was that game really did. It was one of those nail biters that everybody was in the building until the last second. It was great. Now, this is OSU's first national championship since 2015 when they beat the Oregon Ducks in the first ever college football playoff national championship. And this is their 9th in program history. Now, if you remember that game in 2015, that was huge news because that was the first time they ever made the college football playoffs and then added the national championship on top of that. Great game. I remember I was just young then, but I was still really rooting for Ohio State. I always loved the Ohio State. I wanted to go there when I was a kid. And my brother, for some reason, loved the Oregon Ducks. So that was a fun little matchup there. So it's good to see Ohio State getting back on track. And it's also the first time since 1942 that a Big Ten team has won it consecutive years. Last year, it was Michigan. And then this year, Ohio State. So congratulations to Ohio State. Great game. Really fun to see how the college football season ended. Unfortunately, the Buffs couldn't be in the national championship, but looking at how good Ohio State played, probably wasn't going to be a good matchup for the Buffs. Really wasn't. Now, the NFL divisional round is over and headed to the conference championships. This Sunday, 4 teams will be playing for a Super Bowl spot. It really is the best time of year. This is the best weekend of the year. Sure, some people say it's the Super Bowl, but this is where you see a lot of aggression. Really wanting to get in that Super Bowl spot. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, there was no shortage of excitement in this past weekend. All 4 games were nonstop action throughout the whole 60 minutes of each of them. The first game was the Texans at Chiefs, and despite the Chiefs winning once again 23-14, they didn't really look all that good, and I don't think that the Chiefs are going to make it past the Buffalo Bills. Now, the second game on Saturday was the Commanders at Lions, and oh my goodness, did anybody expect this? Did anybody see this coming? The Commanders dominated the Lions, putting up 45 points, beating them 45-31, forcing 5 turnovers on Jared Goff. The Lions were not good. They really didn't look good at all. And Jaden Daniels, I know, I've said it, Bo Nix is my rookie of the year, but now I feel like I'm just kind of holding on to that. Jaden Daniels, this kid's amazing. Amazing. He led his team to beating the number 1 Super Bowl favored team, the Lions. How is that possible? Well, he did it. He did it. Now, the third game of the weekend was Rams at Eagles, and the Eagles pulled away with a 28-22 win. Saquon Barkley, incredible, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, just completely dominating. And if you saw that game, who doesn't want to see a snow game like that? That was so much fun to watch. The snow was coming down. It was one of those where you just know they're going to play some old-fashioned football and keep it on the ground, and Saquon Barkley's fit for that. He was exactly the person they needed. 205 yards and 2 touchdowns to seal the game. And finally, the game of the week, Ravens at Bills. This game was incredible, start to finish. The Bills narrowly escaped with a 27-25 win. The Ravens threw a touchdown with 1 minute remaining. Then Mark Andrews dropped an easy pass on the 2-point conversion. When I say easy, some people think NFL easy, where a guy's, catching a fastball. I don't want to be that guy. I could have caught that ball. The lights were way too bright for Mark Andrews. Wow. Dropped the 2-point conversion to tie the game. Game was over. Nothing left to do. No timeouts left for the Ravens. They fell apart. They really did fall apart. So now it's going to be Bills at Chiefs and then Commanders at Eagles. Going to be a great last 2 games of the season before the Super Bowl. It's going to be so much fun to watch. It really is the best time of the year. But that's going to do it for Denver Sports Daily. I do want to read some of your comments. Let's see. I didn't watch the hockey game, but I saw the highlights and appeared lethargic. Trust me, they didn't appear to have much energy at all. And when you're in the building, you can kind of feel that. You get that energy from the players. And I was there, I was watching it. They didn't really come out with the same energy that we've been seeing all season from them. They really didn't. It wasn't the best showing from the Avs this season. And there's been worse. There was a time where Alexander Georgiev was letting up 4 or 5 goals a game. This is better. but still, this offense has got to get back on track and they can win games. They can win games like this. They really should. Let's see. The Buffs are similar to the Broncos, not even close to being contenders. Yeah, it still would have been fun. I mean, they were ranked, but so were the Broncos. They were in the playoffs, not close to being contenders, but still, you got to have hope. You got to want to see your team out there, right? But it's definitely fun, definitely good that college football is done. It's a great time of year, and that college football championship game every year, just exciting as it can be. But that's going to do it for your Denver Sports Daily. I'll be back with you guys again tomorrow, hopefully recapping a big win from the Nuggets tonight. They're taking on the Sixers. It's going to be a great game. Unfortunately, again, Embiid is out because he's scared of Nikola Jokic, scared of him, ducking the smoke, don't want to see him. That's how Joel Embiid is feeling about Nikola Jokic. But I will see you guys all tomorrow. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.